usually it's brought to my attention that I'm saying things that other people have said before. I'm not really much of an occultist. I'm definitely too Christian for most occultists, but too occult for most Christians.
That little space in between. One of the things that you talked about, I can't recall which video, but is kind of the need to almost incorporate Gnosticism into a kind of more full and complete Orthodox Christianity. So is there anything where you do see yourself against the kind of orthodoxy in terms of like that?
I don't actually see, I mean, I haven't read any Gnostic materials that actually impressed me. Like the Nag Hammadi library is, maybe there's something I'm missing. Maybe there's something very deep there that I don't have the prerequisite knowledge to understand. But it tends to just be a lot of speculation, and the library in general tends to disagree with itself a lot. There's a lot of contradictory things from one text to another. I think what's important, it's kind of like I said, where we had this narrative and then people broke away from it. And so in order to bring those people back, we have to take what drew them away and incorporate it back into the narrative to have a fuller story that, you know, includes all dispositions and every type of person, I think. And so Gnosticism is probably the original schism between the Orthodox and those who couldn't be Orthodox for whatever reason. Yeah. I think the Orthodox got the theology right, but there's something about the Gnostic spirit that I like. The sense of individualism, the sense of skepticism and critical thinking, trying to understand things for yourself. These are all virtues, I think, but they're virtues that can run away from you, that can become vices if you take them too far. And I think in the case of a lot of Gnostics, that's what happened.
Yeah, and then the point that you made was that those kind of subversive elements in the early church then eventually become the kind of subversive elements to religion, you know, the scientific and industrial and later revolutions against Christianity, that by suppressing that it needs to be incorporated almost into a higher unity.
Or it becomes a kind of satanic shadow that then becomes adversarial. So it's like the Gnostic sects inspired a lot of later secret societies. They seem to have influenced the Templars for sure. And then they bled into all kinds of other occult movements that existed at the time, certain forms of Hermeticism and things like that. So Gnosticism, it never really went away. It just saturated other things, which then became adversarial, you know, opponents to Christianity. You can kind of see a Gnostic thread in Nietzsche, in Giordano Bruno. You can kind of see it in Luther. It's everywhere. And I think people today are, you know, it's like a very extreme kind of Gnosticism that animates the modern world, where even, you know, the crass idea of escapism, you're still trying to escape the material world in some way by playing video games or watching TV or, you know, even getting drunk, taking drugs. We're constantly trying to escape materiality because we think something's wrong with it. And so even the culture of modernity is very Gnostic. It just doesn't call itself that. And so although Gnosticism tends to manifest in a very ugly form that's opposed to Christianity and to the culture that we've traditionally had, it seems to be that it contains necessary elements that have to be incorporated into our culture.
Yeah, and the like futurist element of, you know, modernity is, you know, everything's terrible now, but in the future it's going to be great, you know, next 5-year plan. That's kind of a modern incarnation of Gnosticism, because atheism and materialism didn't see an ability to posit, you know, a kind of higher world separate from material matter, that you can have a future world separate from present, you know, material reality.
Modern thinking is very defined by horizontality. And so we can't have the world here and then something up here, because we can't conceive of this anymore. It has to be over here or it has to be over here. So there can either be, this is the traditionalist idea, there's a golden age that we're constantly moving away from, or there's a golden age in the future that we're moving towards. But we can't conceive of, you know, a higher world, a kind of heavenly world that just occasionally manifests below us or below itself.
Yeah.